Yes, my name is Ron Wade, and I'm claiming that I'm a hybrid and a mutant. My brain mutated, and because God cannot create a new human, my people are now in the next dimension, and I'm 50% this dimension and 50% a different dimension. I also don't have a mind. I'm devoid of thought, and I'm going to stumble, so you're going to have to bear with me, and we'll get into the mutation and a lot of other things. So you have to let me get warmed up, because I'm going to be conveying a lot of knowledge. I'm going to try to start spewing theories out as much as I can, and you all can get started. I thought I would start, rather than trying to prove I'm a mutant, by trying to convey what God's plan is. In other words, let you see the result if I test out as a mutant. Because that also means that I understand continuity, and I rewrote Isaac Newton. So we're doing this for a reason. This isn't for me, and this isn't for my own benefit as far as my health. I have paid my dues since the mutation, and I do not fear that there's anything going on, but we need to make sure there's not a tissue issue on my brain, and there's a lot of other issues to address. So let me pause. You can imagine how difficult this is, because you're getting ready to hear what I'm getting ready to say. So you call Mayor Bynum, you explain to him I'm that Ron Wade, and that there is a mutation problem, and suggest that he call President Trump and Melania Trump and have them get in a conference call with me. You refer people to my Facebook, scientists around the world, and everybody understands that nobody is allowed to react against any of the crooked judges. They are frozen in time. Everybody plagiarizes me. Okay? Every word I've said, if you can expand it, I don't care. Expand it. Let's start building continuity. Let's start building our existence. We mobilize the churches and the media and tell them they're the information highway between the world. Because President Trump, what Melania is she is the bridge between me to you, to our children. She needs to get every government in the world to where they have a similar type person, someone that we know can take care of the old farts like President Trump, that are going to be able to adapt to a new reality. Because I don't live your reality. My reality has nothing to do with you anymore. I'm devoid of thought, which means I'm intellect. And we're going to test the shit out of me. Because I understand dementia, I understand everything about us, but we're not getting into that. The churches are mobilized because this is a battle against Train of Thought Network. Train of Thought Network is called TOTN. So when I say TOTN, that's your forehead. That's that stuff you think is your brain. That's all those thoughts you think are associated with your brain, and they have nothing to do with it. You mobilize them. You immediately get word out that there's a competition to get food to every human alive, because by God, we can't party if we have starving humans. Every farm is mobilized because we're going global. The churches are bringing people in and helping them force their own TOTN to report the word calm. That's called transcendental meditation. TOTN is the enemy. It is the evil. We're stamping it out. Mine's gone. I lost 50% of myself, and I survived. I lost my entire dysfunctional half, my mind, my id, my ego, my personality traits, negative emotions, rage, stress, all that crap. It's all agitation and driven by evil that's in your forehead. And we're going to stamp it out. The entire globe will be repeating the word calm. And we start taking control. And it's not easy, I guarantee you. I was advanced in transcendental meditation and could stop my train of thought relatively quickly, you know, but it just was always getting out of control, and I always had to stop it again. It's gone. I can hibernate my brain at will. What that means is I can shut down every system of my body except for respiration instantly. My head goes empty, my brain goes to sleep, and I just start relaxing into existence. I am advanced. I am intellect. I'm not subhuman. I did not mutate to subhuman. Well, I'm trying to give you the plan first, and I keep getting diverted, so I apologize. So the whole time you have this positive, you're pounding everything with positivity, that we're all connected now, and we need an information highway so that everybody knows what's going on, and everybody knows I'm not a threat, and we might have a science explosion happening. You called Neil Young and Niels Lofgren, and ask them if they'll head to Tulsa and use matched guitars with matched frequencies and replicate each other while doing Like a Hurricane, and to please refer to my YouTube videos where I've replicated 220 artists at will and opened a whole new branch of harmonics that nobody knows even exists. They'll understand they're going to turn themselves into a human 12-string, then call John Mellencamp and make sure he knows that he's already been made a visionary, because I can't wait to, when the dust settles, talk to him about how he wrote Human Wheels. Human Wheels is leading us to the light. Have I covered everything? Have we kind of neutralized anything? Let's see. We got media, we got church, we got government, we got old farts. Did I miss anything? There might be more. I hope you just understand, I'm giving you a vision that's in my head to where we are global, just like that. We are fed by science. And I don't know what'll happen to money, but it won't matter if we're all sitting there making sure everything gets done, and nobody is wanting, and everybody wants to party. The next dimension spends their time expanding their intellect. What else can they do? If you're like me, you've got to expand your mind. My logic is infinite. I already know that. That's why I want an MRI, because it is my belief, and you might want to think about this, it is my belief that molecular expansion is from within to maintain space. If that's false, then I might have a skull issue, you know? During the phases of recovery after the brain mutation, in fact, Dr. Gilmore would have seen various manias where, and some of those were driven by low-grade fever, which I could only see in retrospect, because what you are is you're slightly out of head. And it seemed logical to me that there could be an internal conflict going on, because my brain actually regenerated. at the same time. And that would create, and of course it'd be attacked as a malignancy. Now you can tell me if that's, well, an MRI is going to tell us, but that's my logic. The allergic reaction in January, that wasn't an ACE inhibitor, bullshit. That's why I wanted to go back on lisinopril, because an ACE inhibitor had nothing to do with that. That was a toxic attack on my body, and it is my belief that was the final adjustment to my new blood, my new DNA. And I hope you realize that we got to pray I'm not impotent. Because I'm a hybrid. My offspring will be a hybrid of me and you. And under harmonics, they advance above both dimensions. I already know how the dimensions go together. I know God is origin. The musical scale, the perpetuality of the infinite nature of the musical scale is why our universe must expand. Because everything must be connected to everything else. That's called continuity. So let's cover COVID-19. And according to Albert Einstein and also Isaac Newton, for every reaction, and it's for every reaction, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Now, Albert Einstein, I believe, and that's the other thing, the hairs of Albert Einstein and the hairs of Isaac Newton need to be called in immediately, and you need to make sure I have the right to speak for them, okay? Here, let me pause for a minute. Okay, so as you've probably seen by my preparatory release, speaking on their behalf, because I'm not sure who said two elements in perfect opposition, but that represents continuity. Both of them represent continuity, and that just says that everything is a balance and it has to be opposed. We look at it as A. It's not. It's A, B, C. It's TDC, top dead center. Everything is a state of neutrality. Okay? The end result of continuity, the end result of Isaac Newton, the end result of Albert Einstein is neutrality. COVID has nature has provided a natural element that will contain COVID-19. But the thing you have to realize, first you have to look at every element it encounters. You have to look at what happens if it expands unilaterally. I mean, it can't be contained, okay? It's not infinite. So what happens to it? There's an element that eventually contains it and neutralizes its destructive nature. See, that's what this is about. What eventually eliminates its destructive nature? You got to find that, and I'll tell you right now, this isn't about when you think of opposition, and if it's molecular, you're going to get into 6 on 6, you know, and this is all about the statement. That's how science progresses from now on. What is the statement? You have to find a perspective, and it ain't gonna be easy. It could be a paradox. When you finally find the opposition, you're gonna smack your head because it's just so logical. The statement, it's the final statement. Everything that I say, what is a final statement? And the statement has to be correct. Well, I lost my train of thought a little bit. I don't know on COVID-19. Only you guys can decide if what I believe Albert Einstein said, and if my interpretation of continuity is correct, and let me get you started on that, you need to start with the human body and not a wall. We don't use walls for anything. The equal and opposite reaction to the human body is gravity. Did I just open the world? The ladders build from there, and they build inside and out. Inside, your opposition is contained systems. Do you not realize that's how you would build the human body? Every contained system is a puzzle piece. And you have to, they only go together in one order. How else do you think carbon built us? Nothing else could build us. And God can't take anything and create life. He has to influence it. He does that through the perpetuality of the musical scale. Have you ever even asked how C could be the middle of anything? Only A can be the first position. Why is B complex in music and our vitamins? C became A and B became complex. We are music. We are harmonic. And that's where we're going. So let me explain the mutation, and so that you understand how it could even happen. And then I'll cover the fact that TOTN, or what's in your forehead, is, in my belief, it is similar to a worm or a leech, since it came from the devil. So back on, I'm pretty sure it's October 28th of 2018. I had a domino in my hand, and I just could not figure out how our musical scale could even be perpetual. I mean, it's 7 whole notes and 5 half notes, and it's my opinion that you can only become perpetual after one revolution or one cycle. So in order for the scale to be perpetual, you would have to have a continuous path to the 8th note. And by God, I was going to figure out what the hell. I was going to answer the riddle. I was going to figure out, and I mean, I had the domino reversing polarity and inverting, and I got there, but then I felt a whoosh and a swish. And I'm going to tell you what happened. And of course, I didn't realize this at that time. You can imagine what I was thinking, and you can imagine what I've had to recover from. Well, under continuity, if TOTN represents our entire dysfunctional half, you can't lose 50% of yourself and not collapse. I mean, I couldn't figure out how the hell I could even survive. You just can't lose that much opposition, because that's your opposition. That's your opposition going on in your forehead every day. It's good against evil. It's TOTN against your brain. That's the battle. And when TOTN wins, you have dementia. Your brain can't even be demented. Oh, I lost my train of thought, and it was a big one. So let me pause. Okay, brain mutation. So I'm straining. I feel that whoosh, which what the whoosh was obviously the other dimension coming in, because I'm now a hybrid. See, 50%, 50%, 50%. I just realized this 2 or 3 days ago. I don't have anybody helping me. I mean, my reality is different than yours, and I don't have a single person that can even understand it. 50% came in, and since you can't eliminate TOTN as 50% under continuity, it would have to migrate somewhere under life force rules. What happened is, when the new dimension came in, it used an insecticide and it detached TOTN. And TOTN is the sensation I felt sliding out of my head. When it happened, it was a baseball-sized chunk. My head was starkly empty. I mean, it was so damn empty. When I drove, I didn't feel safe. I mean, it took, you can imagine, I am devoid of thought. Devoid of thought means nothing is in my head. The only thing is in my head is what I placed there. And my brain never intrudes except on neuropathy, and you're going to help me communicate with it and tell it to cut that shit out. And I mean it. We can understand neuropathy, and we can get my brain to address the situation. It just needs to bypass some things. So, you know, this doesn't end with this conversation. So my brain mutates, and I'm just, I mean, I know I don't have train of thought. That's kind of all I know, and I don't, I mean, I still don't know what I am. I'm still evolving, you know, so all I can do is keep going forward. I knew I should have died. I mean, I braced myself. When it happened, I braced myself. But anyway, back to the domino. God caused the mutation to occur at the precise moment I was thinking as hard as I could. If I'd been doing number 2, you wouldn't even know who I am. I'd be gone. You all know that's true. You don't mutate to an advanced race. You know, this is bigger than anybody realizes. And if I'm right on even 10%, the entire population is going to be getting smarter. Melania Trump will be responsible for, our old education won't even matter. You know, it will matter. Well, I'm not sure it will matter, because we're all actually going to want to be part of the scientific explosion. And it's going to be very important to bring every human up. I mean, we've got to elevate everybody's intelligence, because any human could say something brilliant, because these are connections. When you start building your continuity ladders, which is our dimension, and you're heading towards infinity and you're heading back towards God, anybody can say something, anybody can make an observation that answers a question. So another priority is you're going to need a clearinghouse, because let me explain how I want my theories to work. You plagiarize the hell out of me, but we'll have a derivatives patent category, or we might not even need patents. But what you do is you just reference, whether it's 1 word, 100 words, whatever, you reference what you use, how you expanded it, and then we're going to need a clearinghouse so they're not building all the same rungs. See if I'm right on continuity? Man, you're talking massive amounts of information, and you're going to need a massive information highway. I mean, because you want everybody to know instantly so they can expand it further. I don't know if this is real, but we have all this invisible around us, and we don't understand any of it. And it seems to me I do. I mean, I can almost see it. Since I am correct, let's get away from the F. I'm gonna test out, and I could have antibodies. There's no telling what's inside me. But it's my understanding that my people would be in the past. If we all agree that the expansion from God would be that intelligence would decrease the further away from God, that means my people are in the past. And I'm going there. By God, I guarantee you. So if y'all want on board that train, you better get on. I'm not sure what else to say. I've you know, my Facebook will get you started. I have my entire Facebook archived, and we'll need to have Facebook print them out in a clinical format, because it's going to reflect all the stages I went through. You're going to be able to see the various manias and personas that I've exhibited. And I even exhibit one now because you might not know, I've been trying to pick a fight with AMA for a week. I've been bullying the shit out of them. And they can't be provoked. I've blamed them for COVID-19. I've called them fools. I've called them morons. I don't know what else to do. I mean, you just get my Isaac Newton restatement and tell me I'm wrong. I mean, if I'm wrong, tell me, and then we'll figure out how I built this fantastical story, because we need a lot of people like me, and it needs to be turned into a movie, even if it's not true. I've given you how to become a global population. You know, I haven't gotten any rewards out of this. I mean, it's hell making yourself look crazy. My doctor, he just deleted my patient portal. I've been erased. I was challenging to just tell me I'm wrong on Isaac Newton, or admit my superiority. You know, you can't make me be a patient. So that's all you got to do. I don't want to be the boss because, well, I do, because that's the other thing that I want you to know is a golden rule. I'm in charge, but I am you. That's it. That's all there is to it. I'm every human alive, and that's all there is to it. And by God, they're all going to be equal under my law. You know? This is a takeover. And it's a takeover of harmony. Man, you got the music industry behind. I didn't cover the movie industry. And if there's other industries, and create the competition on food, and it'll happen. People will be showing up at all the farms and telling them start plowing those fields, and let's be smart about it. Let's figure out what global food means. Let's just go ahead and take care of that. We don't have to worry about money. Just start using the money to do that. The other thing you're going to have to do is stress to everybody, just don't worry about the future of money. Just keep doing things the way you're doing them, and then let's just see what happens. That's all we can do, you know. I'm hoping that I'm correct and not crazy. And if I am, you know, then my family wants you to find my mind and put it back in. Okay, so that's your job. I don't know why I see it. I don't know why I see the entire globe feeling good about themselves and making sure everybody knows that they know they matter. And the churches are bringing them in and trying to help them understand what's going on, and we have mentors, and you know, we're sweeping up everybody and making sure that they can have some understanding that what's going on is a party. It's an infinite party. God knows how to party, I guarantee you. And we're going to party, and we're actually going to wipe out evil for good. I don't know what happens. What happens if we have a globe making TOTN, repeat the same word. Calm. It could just shrivel. It could shrivel out of existence. Your brain is cooler than shit, and it's not neurotic. It can't be neurotic. It's neurotic because of TOTN. So TOTN is every negative aspect about you. It's everything you don't like to do or any way you don't like to be because you've been created. You aren't even who you think you are. You aren't neurotic. And just like me, you're new in your new reality, you're going to need help adjusting to it. I think everything I do is neurotic because I'm picking fights. I have nothing to gauge how I'm supposed to be. My family doesn't want anything to do with me. Nobody, everybody acts like I don't exist. And I do. And I'm making noise and nobody listens. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping, I really hope to be surrounded by 50 babies. Oh, and let's move on. Let's move on. Let me go ahead and get this out there. Okay, back to C became A and B became complex, and carbon building humans. And the fact that you probably don't realize this, but Ecclesiastes 3:20 guarantees it, that we sprang from the dust, which is why we're all different, because all the races were created at the same time from the regional elements that carbon had to use, which of course would affect skin color and all the other differences. And that's why Aborigines were all of similar appearance, because they were all of similar elements. So I don't know how God did it, but it seems to me, there would be residual traces that can't really be explained in our past or around the times of man. But C became A, and another worldly force was released. And vitamin C, note C, carnitine, carbon, calcium, and any other C's? Well, they all built the humans. Carbon started in the heart, when contained system by contained system, and I assume used at some point there had to be life support. So I assume was using dust as a filler and a plug as it built. I mean, carbon's connected to everything. It is the collective. It is continuity. It's connected to God. God is light now, which is the highest consciousness. My babies will be human, but they will be as close to light as they can get. And then the next dimension is closer. Then I am closer. Then there's you. And I assume, since infinity must always march forward or advance, because it can never be achieved, that there might even be dinosaurs ahead. If in fact everyone agrees, or we operate on the initial premise, again, this is about the initial premise, the start. I lost my track, and I was doing so well. Did I already create man? Oh, okay. Now, one of the first questions an obvious question of this scenario is, what I'm saying is, instantaneously, there's all these naked humans that exist throughout the globe. And how the hell would they even survive? I mean, it doesn't make sense, so it's illogical. But you have to realize that these initial humans would also be hybrids that would self-extinguish. So God either wanted to conquer this race and inbreed, or God wanted to create a different human and see if he can bring it along. See what I'm saying? So that's what he did. I'm going to close because I think I've covered sufficient ground for you to decide if I'm crazy, or I could actually have become imperfectly, perfectly logical. I could have mutated, and that all this is actually logical. My point of view is incorrect. Continuity is point of view. If you guys want to get smarter, you by God better remember there's 1 billion points of view on every equation, and you better find the relative, it's called relative perspective. Okay? And just try to think through Newton and Einstein for me on COVID-19. I'm not a scientist, but I understand forces. Oh, and that's the other thing. In my opinion, if electromagnetism from the Earth just dissipated, that would be erratic, and your field could not become static. You know what I'm saying? So under continuity, all these forces have shapes. So what is a perfect opposition to electromagnetism? Then you start building our universe. Now correct me whenever you can, because I'm not a scientist. But just think about that electromagnetism has to be contained so that it has no destructive element, as did every other force. These forces, let me explain harmonics to you and what I did on harmonics. Okay, when you tune a guitar and you do E, and you're tuning E, and so you're doing E3 on E4. And as you notice, it pronounces. It sounds really cool, and it pronounces. So what happens is those nearly identical sound waves, because that's what it is. You have two things separating sound waves. You have gauge and octave. So those are nearly identical. They collide and expand. That's why it's pronounced, or natural amplification, a 12-string guitar, same concept. So what I did with 220 artists is I learned to collide my sound waves with John Mellencamp's sound waves and create a harmonic. I try to match them perfectly in tone, frequency, inflection. Now don't spend hours. I do so many. And what happens is it becomes a 12-string guitar. Nobody's ever done it. Nobody's even thought to do it. Nobody's even thought to have Neil Young and Neil Lofgren replicate each other while playing identical notes with matched guitars, creating huge harmonics explosions. Man, I want them to do like I hope they'll do Like a Hurricane and pick a song that is just so sweet, and they're just hitting the same notes and doing the same bends. And I don't even know what'll happen. Musicians don't even know you can collide frequencies from any instrument. So let's say your song's going along and you want a huge harmonics explosion. So you combine the organ with a high-pitched lead note. Once you understand the frequency deviations, so in other words, harmonics is a very narrow window, but then it's not, because you have every octave. You get every octave to choose from. But if you're singing a song, you have a broader field than zeroing in on the frequency. Everything else works the same way. I mean, these theories are they're just simple logic. I just knew it was logical. I always knew, for some reason, I always wanted to try to replicate them without knowing it. And neuropathy, and I was fortunate that St. Francis Hospital screwed up when my hands were swollen and looked like balloons, and they let me escalate in a complete attack on my body for 3 days, and neuropathy eliminated the guitar. If I didn't have singing, the dark clouds would have taken me. I mean, my arms, I was 100% crippled at times. My arms are still messed up. Man, I escalated for 3 days. My head was attacked. My arms blistered off. I had blisters all over. I had bumps. My lips were over 2 times their size. My tongue was covered in sores. And every day I escalated. So I would have people come in to see what happened next. I wake up, my entire head's covered with bumps, and they're all different kinds. I have crustaceans on my face. The bumps on my head are different, impetigo, scabies, which brings back to an interesting point. As I believe as the cause of this reaction. From what I read, if you have scabies, you end up getting it treated because the itching drives you crazy. And I had no itching, but I'm told I had scabies. I don't know. I had so many things on my body. I suspected ivermectin was the reaction, but I can't. But I had to react to something first, and then the reaction created a toxic reaction. But now, since and tell me if this is an improper path, but let's assume that TOTN is a parasite, and something was used to detach it, which would be insecticide in nature. And the fact I didn't know I had scabies, so that must have occurred. Or I assume, if you agree I should have known I had scabies, that means it just occurred, which to me indicates a reaction possibly to the parasitic nature of scabies. Do you see what I'm saying? I have some real weird immunities because TOTN has to be a parasite. There's no way around it. There's no way around it. You guys have no way to get around that statement because you'll understand quickly it represents dysfunction and it needs to be brought under control. It represents ego. And that's the other thing on Melania Trump that I want to bring up real quick. All these people in the various governments should be women, because the world can't afford ego right now. It just can't. That's all I've dealt with. That's why AMA won't challenge me. They're scared I'll make them look the fool, and at this point I will. I've begged them to prove me wrong, and they have not responded. Dr. Robert Mahaffey, rather than respond on Isaac Newton, erased my patient portal. So, okay, I might be repeating, and just, would you please give me a chance and have President Trump and Melania call me, and we can get started. Just remind Mayor Bynum, just tell him, if you guys think I'm real, just tell him that I'm that Ron Wade, and he'll know what it means. And then we have political power, correct? Most importantly, please get the Indian Bureau involved. Okay, because let's make the Indians the leader of the world. I mean, do you all agree with that? I mean, instead of private sector or anybody else being the light, let's let the Indians. God is just. And I forgot that. I should have told you that first. So I apologize. You know, you guys represent the Indians. And so let's make them the leaders of the world. Because I'm pretty sure you guys deserve it. Don't you agree? I have Indian blood in me, and I never had to suffer. But I was just lucky. Anyway, I'd love to be in charge. And Dr. Gilmore, just a yes or no is fine on that, on being my girlfriend. I apologize for putting you on the spot, but this has been a hard battle, okay? And it's not easy fearing you're going to be put away for calling AMA pussies and bullies and morons. So I don't ever pull punches, unfortunately. Okay, goodbye, everybody. I really hope to hear from all of you, and everybody can listen to this. I don't care. Okay, you have my legal documents. I've revoked AMA or HIPAA. I've released proprietary rights, and I've granted you the right to broadcast at will. If there's anything I haven't thought of, and these are simple agreements, we don't need very many words on them. If there's anything I haven't thought of to give you the green light to open my records up to the world, let me know. Because you have to do it. I don't give a shit about government law. Okay, my law is different. So, my psychiatric history is all fabricated, and it will be proven it was illegal captivity. So open it all up. That helped create the mutation, and that's the other thing. Let's cover why the mutation could have occurred. It's my belief that I rejected eggs as a child, and I had white hair really early on, and so I've suffered from a historical folate issue, and my nutrition continues to be very poor. Even now, I just don't eat, so we're going to need to take care of me when all this is done, you know. So it is my belief the folate deficiencies set in motion the course for the mutation. And of course, TOTN at the same time is trying to influence it and trying to make it happen sooner, because that's the way TOTN works. And you'll find a lot of this on my Facebook. So it's trying to influence. So TOTN actually starts taking me, and I become erratic. And that, you know, involved in a huge battle with corruption, and everybody thinks there's something wrong with me. So then it escalates, and I'm end up in illegal captivity for making 50 threats I never made. And they admit they fabricated the one where I threatened innocent women and children or family. But they claim in my lawsuit that I didn't object. I use the word innocent, but I didn't object to the other 49 threats. So since I was just objecting to the one threat against women and children, and didn't object to the other 49, the city of Tulsa was not required to supply any evidence to support any of them. That's your chief federal judge on that deal. And when you look at my Facebook, you'll see he's frozen in a crime. He came later. The illegal captivity came before the mutation. That was June of 2018, 34 days in illegal captivity where I was trapped because I never threatened anyone. And everybody had this direct threat against women and children. So, very confusing time, but it also contributed to the mutation. So I was going to mutate, in my opinion. TOTN was taking me, and I was going to mutate. And I was supposed to become a vegetable. That's all there was to it. God intervened. God knew I was going to mutate, and he made it mutate at the time he did. So if you all disagree or agree, I mean, tell me. But you know, it has to be possible first. I mean, God has to follow physics. That's all there is to it. So it all has to make sense, and that's why 50% from the next dimension had to come in under physics and continuity. There's no other choice. I just can't lose my entire dysfunctional half and act like I didn't. So, pretty cool, huh? I mean, I just hope you all believe something, because this is just so mind-boggling, the way I'm talking. I mean, I just don't. I don't know. Okay, I'm starting to stumble. Y'all have fun, and please just call me and tell me that I need to get in to see the neurologist tomorrow, because I will. Okay? I'm not afraid of you telling me there's something wrong, but you, by God, better use the word logical a lot. Okay? That's all I require. If you can't use the word logic, I don't need to hear it. So, that's all I am, logic.